Hello everyone, this is your speaker and presenter, Edward Collins. Welcome to a short presentation on the Tcpdump tool in Linux. I hope that everyone who is listening to me is well aware of what Tcpdump can do. For the ones who aren't, Tcpdump is a tool on Linux systems that can collect packets in simpler words. For the Windows users, this is Wireshark for the open source world. Let's talk about installation. This tool works on all Linux distros. All you need to do is install it using yum or rpm or apt-get. Depending on the distro you are using, this will change. I used Red Hat in my lab, so this is how you do it there. apt-get space install space tcpdump. The sudo keyword is for anyone logged in with a non-root user. You eventually need root access to install this package, so better be ready with the credentials. The newest release is always installed by this procedure. However, if you want to check any updates about the new releases, go to tcpdump.org. Here are some tips on the usage and how to check the version. Older versions of tcpdump might not deliver all the functionality, so checking the version is always a good practice before use. Use tcpdump space -h to get the version info. Along with the version, you will get some information on usage. All the options to use with tcpdump are displayed over here, and we will discuss a few important ones. Let's kick off with the technical discussion. I've used two options here, capital D and I. Capital D is used to display all available interfaces for captures. Over here we have ETH0, USB Mon1, NE and loopback. ETH0 is the wired network adapter. USB Mon1 is a USB device interface. NE is all interfaces and loopback is of course loopback. I is used to select the interface for the current capture. The option number as displayed by -d or the interface name itself can be used as an argument to -i. If you don't specify any interface, the first listed interface when using -d or -i is assumed as the interface to be used. Let's look at a real-world example. I have captured some ICMP traffic that are generated from another Windows machine to this Linux server. As it was just ICMP traffic flowing through, I got what I wanted on the console window, but this might not always be the case. Here is how to add ASCII output to the capture. To do this, use -a. I will show you later how this information might prove vital in your analysis. Notice the alphabetical values that are displayed at the end of each packet. Let's compare what we just saw to something that we are used to seeing on Wireshark. I have highlighted the alphabets to display interesting info that we saw before when capturing with tcpdump. Adding link and MAC layer info. What if we wanted to look at layer 2 info as well in these packets? With the -e option, you can see that as well. Packets dropped by the kernel. What does this really mean? You will see this line at the end of each capture and may have some counters on it as well. The tcpdump captures raw packets passing through a network interface. The packets have to be parsed and filtered according to the rules specified by you in the command line. And that takes some time, so incoming packets have to be buffered or queued for processing. When there are too many packets and are saved to a buffer, and the saving process is faster than the processing, eventually the buffer runs out of space. This causes the kernel to drop all further packets until there is some free space in the buffer. You can increase this buffer size with the buffer -size or -b option. For example, tcpdump space -b space 4096. Note that the size is specified in kilobytes, so the above line sets the buffer size to 4 megabytes. As mentioned before, Buffer space is important if you don't want packets to be dropped by the kernel. You can increase the buffer size, that's one way around, but not always needed. So how do you save buffer space? You can do it by using a simple -n option when running captures. -n prevents the default name resolutions done by the Tcpdump utility. I've also used -c over here to show me limited number of packets. For example, -c space 4 will give you 4 packets only. Timestamps play an important part in packet analysis. Here is how you can change them to your liking so it's easier to analyze. The -4t option will give you timestamps in human readable standard format. The -TTT option gives you delta time between consecutive packets. Here is how you can read and write a capture. You can write a capture to a file by using the -w option. Writing to a file helps when you have a lot to capture and output may not be readable when running live on screen or console. It also helps to capture a file which can later be imported into other tools such as Wireshark. To read a file, use the -r option. Packet size manipulations. Sometimes I might not need the whole packet, maybe just the header, or sometimes I want to avoid any packet getting truncated. Some older versions of Tcpdump don't have the default capture size of 65535 bytes per packet, so we should know how to handle these packet sizes. The -s option helps over here. For example, specifying 0 with -s assumes the default size of 65535 bytes. Specifying no value after -s assumes the default of what the version supports. Here are some well-known Tcpdump filters. Host for IP address of source or destination, etherhost for MAC address, src is for source and dst is for destination. Port is for capturing traffic for a specific port. TCP and UDP are for specific TCP or UDP traffic. The regular expressions and, not, and or can be used as is or in symbol format. There are many other filters, but I have just mentioned a few important ones here. Here is an example in which I have demonstrated the use of Tcpdump. You will need some background on other basic Linux commands to utilize this. I have used an additional grep for filtering the output of Tcpdump. I have captured an FTP file transfer on the wire, Ethernet 0 that is, and dug in for the username using grep. FTP being a clear text transfer, I have leveraged the ASCII output of the capture to look for the username. In this case, same can be done for the password as well. Ain't that cool? Go ahead and play around with the Tcpdump tool and you can uncover a lot. Don't forget, you always have the man page as the go-to guide. Thank you all for watching this video.